Bass Fishing Asia with your host, Chaz.
Hey guys, an extension of our OinK series, only in Korea. I want to show you guys what some of the tackle shops in Seoul look like. It's called Shimtong Nakshi, and relatively they have a lot of bass gear. So let's go in. Alright guys, we just walked in the shop. This is Shimtong Fishing. We're back at the front where the reels were. Focusing on some of the reels that they have on display. Stuff that I think in Asia, they have Asia versions of all the reels, so it's a bit different, either by name or by model. These are some of the baits I was referring to. It's kind of meal, mixed meal that they use. And it's like equivalent of worms, you know, in the States, live bait. But the deal is here that everyone likes to make their own concoction. And that can be the difference, whether you catch fish or not, based upon the concoction or the mix that you can make. These are ocean rods. And these are Korean, maniacs. As you may know, Korea is a big exporter of fishing rods. Have been. They used to be one of the top 10 industries in the country. Very good at graphite construction, and that's why they make a lot of the rods. So up here is really the ocean, as well as local freshwater fishing equipment. Some more rods. Over here we have the lines. As you can see, pretty massive selection of lines. And again, these are lines more for the local type fishing. You see Toray is a big brand. Japanese brands are big here. Over here is a section for braid. So we have stuff that you guys may be familiar with, the Berkeleys and the spider wires, Suffix, and then more Japanese brands. Shock leaders. And more braid. This is more ocean braid, looks like. Various different Japanese makes. And then over here we have some Fireline, stuff that you're probably familiar with. Okay, they have a whole downstairs, which is really for the bass. Okay, this is the bargain bin. Bass hard baits, sail corner, and bass worms. Here is a crazy assortment of little spoons. This is mainly used for trout fishing. In Korea, trout are not native to Korea, but again, they raise them here in hatcheries, partly for the restaurant trade, but also in a lot of the small lakes. During the winter time, when you really can't fish for the other varieties of fish, they stock them with trout, and people fish for trout with these kind of spoons, other lures, as well as fly fishing. Behind me, we have the hook variety. This is the hook wall. And you can see here, Gamakatsu is a big brand, Hayabusa, I should say. Lots of other Japanese varieties. Lure Factory is a Korean brand. And then we have what we call assist hooks, or stinger hooks. These are used a lot for winter jigging, but also in ocean fishing. Here we got a bunch of small plugs by Timon, which are, again, trout baits. A gazillion brands of micro jigs, Gamakatsu, Kai-Tech. These are some of the famous favorite brands here. On this back wall we have tackle boxes. Pretty good assortment. Go on to weights. Either a mixture of tungsten, lead weights that are available. A couple years ago they were saying lead weights are going to disappear, but that hasn't happened. Here we get into the jig heads, hooks. These are some of my favorite here. These are the decoy kind of offset jig heads, which I've been using for years. These are great, very weedless. Here we see rods. These are the two-piece rods. Of course, they have a very good selection of one-piece rods as well. We see some salty core sticks. I forget where that's from. Boreas. Some Senkos. Gary. Not a ton of Gary stuff. Some big Lucky Craft crankbaits. On this side, we actually have, this is ocean stuff. This stuff is used to catch red snappers with the assist hooks. Interesting variety of skirts that they attach to those heads I just showed you. Got a few big baits. Okay, moving into a little bit of big bait section. There's, I think, a favorite in the States, the Depths Slide Swimmer 250. Got a bunch of Raid products. EMA down here. Savage Gear. Savage Gear's been making a run. We're seeing a lot more of their gear here in Korea, which was not true in the past. Now we get into the frogs. It is the middle of frog season now. Steve's frogs, Teckle frogs, Umbrago, Lunker Hunt, Fish Arrow. Big selection. Rodeo. I don't know about these. And on this side, Daiwa. Looks like they're making a run at hard baits. Got a bunch of Daiwa baits here. Duo. These seem more like ocean plugs. I'm guessing these are for the sea bass. Sea bass they fish for on top. So they're using these minnows as well as topwater poppers and walking baits. Although, if you watch them fish for sea bass, they're not really walking baits. They're moving them pretty quickly. Assortment of small little grub worms. This is a local maker. On this side, we got back to con baits. Big variety of chatterbaits, spinner baits. Kaki's another, Kaki I should say, is another local brand. We got the double-bladed spinnerbait here from Con Baits. Over here we have a small corner of US baits. So this is Storm, Rapala, Headin at the bottom. It's a very small corner. This is pretty much all there is in terms of US baits. Most of it's Japanese or Korean. Damiki, I think they've been making a run. We're seeing a lot more of their baits in the States. I don't actually use them that much. I also prefer the Japanese baits. So now moving to Daiwa. Daiwa's got a lot more presence these days, I'm noticing. Moving to the depths, we got a bunch of depths buzz jets. Starting to see OSP. OSP is a really popular bait here. We got the buzz and crank. The HPF, Yamamoto's. On the spinnerbait side, we got the Jackal here, Gancraft. The high pitchers, OSP. Very popular. And then one of my favorite spinnerbaits, Megabass SV3. Love that spinnerbait. I think they got a new selection of buzz baits in. They've been out for a while. That's a bizarre spinnerbait. Looks like it's got about 8 blades on it. And then they got mixed in here some worms. Zoom, very popular in Korea. Back behind me, we're starting to see hard baits, Megabass 110s, lots of variety. Megabass Mag Slow. Megabass is very popular here. This is one I kind of highlighted in one of my videos. That's the Binksy. tremendous bait. Have had a lot of success. I'm gonna have to pick up a few after this video. I finish shooting this video. Pop Maxes. Pretty good selection of the Pop Maxes. You see here the Spriggan crankbaits. This is a cool bait, the gong. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Looks like a gorilla, and it's a wake bait that actually catches fish really well. Pop X's, DX Freeze kind of rounds it out. Here we got a lot of khaki. This is a local maker, Korean worm maker. We have the depths. Big variety of the depth soft baits. Sunakichi, or I don't know quite how to say that, but that's a fairly popular bait here. I know a lot of my friends use it for the buzzing worms. Some more local makes of worms. Then we get into a big OSP section. I realize I'm going through this pretty fast, so if you have any questions, happy to answer and respond. Here we got a section of the more Garys. We're seeing a bunch of Senkos. The Cuttail, very popular here. And some of the smaller worms. These smaller 2-inch Senkos, things like that, also very popular to be used when they're trout fishing. A lot of new stuff in, I see. I'll have to snap up a few of those, spend a little money. I got the mask on because here in Korea we're still suffering from COVID. Vaccination rates are less than 20%, so everyone still wears masks everywhere. That's it for today. Thanks a lot.